Welcome to The Value of One, The Power of All, a podcast created by the Ron Brown Scholar Program. Since 1996, this organization has been investing in the next generation of African American leaders, and this podcast highlights the stories of the people that make this program special. I'm your host, Ray Pryor, 2015 Ron Brown Scholar, and today I'm here with Ethan Monreal-Jackson, 2008 Ron Brown Scholar, to share some exciting things coming up in Season 3. Ethan, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Ray.
Every time I reflect on the beginnings of me trying to build out platforms within our community here at Ron Brown, starting this podcast and now the Venture Lab, you have always been not just an important part of it, but at the very beginning of a lot of those stories. You were the first call that I made when I thought that we could build something around supporting the founders in our network, and that eventually became the Ron Brown Venture Lab. And you're also the first guest that I had on this podcast when you shared your story about growing up in Dallas and studying at Wharton and your professional journey through consulting, finance, and fintech startups, investing, and now being the founder and GP of Newtype Ventures. And then on top of that, you were also the first person to take up my call asking for support to build out this platform to be even bigger than it was, and always encouraging me to think bigger about what a platform like this could do within not just our alumni, but even our wider ecosystem that Ron Brown is attached to. And so I thought it was only right that I would invite you to be our first guest on this new season and welcome our audience into what we're going to talk about for Season 3, sponsored by your firm, Spira Capital. So can you tell us a little bit about what Spira Capital does and why you started it?
Absolutely. Well, like any entrepreneur, I saw a problem and I thought to myself that I could solve it better than everybody else out there trying to solve it. And it started with Newtype Ventures. When I launched my own venture firm, I realized that the amount of time that you spend running a venture firm, and when you're looking at all of it, the amount of time you spend in actually investing is very, very little. You spend a lot more time trying to run it, payroll, reporting, taxes, registrations, you name it. There's very little investing done at the beginning because you're wearing too many hats. And as I talked to founders, not just founders we were investing in, but founders we respected, all of them were running into the same problem where they had too many things to do and not enough time to do it. And that's why I decided to, while continuing to lead and manage Newtype Ventures, launch Spira Capital, which is your fractional C-suite. Founders have to wear many hats, and that means they don't get to wear the hat that they think fits them best. So we take a number of those hats by filling in for them, their back office with our operational, financial, and accounting expertise. On top of all that, we also provide advisory services because we know that every founder has strategic long-term goals that they want to achieve, and we believe we can help them achieve those goals. So that's why Spira Capital was founded.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I can see that adding a lot of value to the experience of the parts of being a founder that doesn't get posted about or isn't always part of the headlines and makes the Hollywood movies, but certainly ends up being a pivotal part of the experience. You got to get that stuff done, but it's always great to be able to get help, partnership, and delegate as you can, and so you can get back to your superpower.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you and I have been excited about the founders within the Ron Brown community for a very long time. And so I wanted to share with you a few highlights. I've been collecting data on the founders themselves as well as some of the startups that they're building. I'm going to put it together as the first edition of what I'm calling the Ron Brown Ventures Index. And so I just wanted to share some of those highlights with you, and then just kind of get your thoughts on what excites you about what folks are building, and also kind of how does that relate to what you're seeing on the Newtype side as well. So to start, some common categories in terms of sectors: a lot of B2B SaaS folks, a lot of AI, of course, Web3, two-sided marketplaces, some consumer software as well, a lot more CPG companies than I had anticipated, which was a pleasant surprise, and been exciting to explore those. And then we've also got art and deep tech founders too. We've got robotics, energy, water, environment. So it's no differently than when we all meet as 17, 18-year-olds in DC for selection weekend. There's so much breadth in terms of what dimensions that we cover, and that only continues as people decide to be entrepreneurs as well. In terms of verticals, everything: fintech, food, both prop tech, both domestic and internationally, legal tech, ed tech. Top city is New York, and number two is SF. And then the one that I thought was really interesting was Atlanta. Was a really strong hub for many of our founders. Undergrad, where do our founders go to school? No surprises there. Harvard, MIT, and Stanford are the top three for founders. Yale, Duke, and Penn for yourself, and Princeton. And Ron Brown scholars and captains certainly are represented at the top schools. Majors, they're studying computer science, engineering, economics are the top three. So we're all watching and seeing in today's market, in today's world, what are the skills that I need in order to work on the biggest and most interesting problems. And we've skewed a lot heavily more towards STEM over the last decade or so than even when you and I went to the program, which is cool. So when we think about Ron Brown founders too, we track all of their startups. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're a solo founder. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're not joining another startup too. But the vast majority, over 90% of any type of founder in Ron Brown, they're all CEOs. So these are not folks who are general, are joining other projects, or normally when we're talking about Ron Brown startups, these are the manifestations of the vision of the Ron Brown Scholar Captain. And just because of all that we know about their leadership potential that they've been doing their whole life, I don't think there's any surprise there. Most of them are young, over half are under the age of 30, and about a third of them have advanced degrees too. Flipping over to the fundraising side of things, and we can't have perfect data relates to this. Some of it is self-reported through our venture lab application. Other parts of it we can pull from public data sources. But so far, that number of how much money has our founders collectively raised is more than 75 million so far. The top two investors in terms of not dollar amount, but frequency of investments in different companies, YC and Harlem Capital being number two. And then what I thought was really interesting, Ron Brown scholars aren't just about building impressive pieces of technology to build wealth for themselves and trying to help their customers. They're very socially conscious and community spirited people too. So when you flip over to the nonprofits that they've started too, in terms of social ventures, we've got Black VC, we've got Breakthrough Ventures doing some great work with student founders. We've got the Detroit Justice Center. We've got the Setagas Revitalization Initiative in Houston. Always had the Hidden Genius Project based out in Oakland and now in multiple cities across the country. And so when you add all the nonprofits that Ron Brown folks have found, that 75 million that they've raised jumps to 120 million they've garnered for all of the different visions that they want to bring to life. And then for you and your peers who sit on the other side of the table, fund managers who are investing across a variety of asset classes, we kind of make a distinction between you are working in an investor capacity versus this is a firm that you've founded or that you lead, even if it's owned by another entity. Assets under management on the very conservative end are somewhere near $500,000. And so we're excited to see that number continue to grow and usher more folks into the venture capital industry on the investor side as well. And then you think about the macro context, all these numbers and things that I'm sharing, all of us are still, in the grand scheme, extremely young and early in our careers. And so there's still a lot more upside. What anything stand out to you that you found was particularly interesting? And how does this compare, or any insights that you have in terms of all of the founders and deals that you're involved with on the Newtype side too?
Out of all the things you said, what gets me most excited is just how young these investors and entrepreneurs are. And the reason that that is important is because building a business is a long game. And the longer you're in it, the more likely you are to survive. There is clear data on this. But more importantly, the more likely compounding is to take effect. And so traditionally, folks in our communities have been hesitant not only to get into entrepreneurship or to invest, but when they do so only after they feel very secure in their financial position. And that could be your late 30s, your late 40s, even your 50s. And so what really excites me is that the Ron Brown scholars, captains, alum are recognizing that the best time to do anything is today. And the sooner you get into entrepreneurship, whether that's as a founder or an investor, the sooner you will get to the outcome that you want. And so I'm incredibly excited that we're seeing so many founders, particularly those under the age of 30, coming in. Not to say that we don't want those over the age of 30 starting companies, but that is very different. If you look at the demographics of entrepreneurship, particularly the demographics of Black entrepreneurship, to see that number of folks at that age coming in and activating. And then the second thing that really, really excites me, particularly with the Ron Brown community, is that we all have a number of superpowers. And to achieve any type of outlier success, the only way you can do it is by doubling down on your strengths, on your superpowers. That's what differentiates you. If you try to play somebody else's game, you are going to lose. So we have so many unique, incredible, high achieving people in our community, and they have all these strengths and superpowers to share. Entrepreneurship gives them that platform, not only to share it, but to act upon their strengths. And that's why I sincerely believe the next great founders, the next great investors investing in the next great companies, some of those people are going to come out of our program. I believe that 100%.
Yeah, as do I. And I'm already seeing signs of some folks who are either going to become that in the current phase of their career that they're in, the current company they're building. But what's been exciting for me on the venture lab side is I'm meeting founders talking about the company they're building now. I also think about the company they're going to start again in 15 years, whenever this exits and is successful. And then the companies that they'll invest in as a result of this flywheel that we're building, which is really great. So we've got a lot of exciting stuff coming up later this year. Very soon, we're going to announce our first cohort of startups that we're investing in on a non-dilutive, equity-free basis from the Ron Brown Venture Lab. We'll have our first demo day, which will be very exciting. And then, obviously, for the purpose of this episode, we're going to release season 3, which is going to be around 10 to 12 conversations with some amazing innovators who are in our community building some awesome stuff, some of whom we're actually investing in. So let's take a listen to some of those highlights from this upcoming season.
My name is Colin Webb. I'm a 2014 Ron Brown Scholar. I'm the founder and CEO of Avatar Robotics.
My name is Faye McKinday. I am a 2016 Ron Brown Captain. I'm the co-founder of Rika.
My name is Jadelle Williams. I'm a 2017 Ron Brown Scholar, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Vision Sense Analytics.
I'm Nasima Mohammed. I am a Ron Brown Captain 2023, and I am the CEO and co-founder of Ag and Health.
My name is Philip Champagne, and I'm the CEO and founder of Touchpoint.
My name is Rusty Fields. I'm a 2017 Ron Brown Scholar.
And my name is River Fields. I'm a 2021 Ron Brown Captain. And we're the co-founders of Honeyglow.
My name's Sean. I'm an RBS captain from the class of 2017, and I'm the co-founder and head of product at Catch It.
My name is Chikata Peno. I'm a 2014 Ron Brown captain, and I'm the founder and CEO of Volta Health.
My name is Tyrone Davis. I'm a 2018 Ron Brown Scholar, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Miyagi Labs.
I'm Mila Henderson, a 2014 Ron Brown captain, and I'm the founder and CEO of Cherto Music.
Avatar Robotics is building the flexible industrial workforce of the future, turnkey robot fleets that you can bring into a warehouse or a factory. It's, I would say, a relatively new idea that is able to be implemented and started from the ground now based off of some things that have changed within the last 5 to 10 years and developments that we've seen with technology. Robotics in the past used to be very expensive and decently inflexible in the sense that it used to cost millions of dollars to buy robotic systems and install them into some facility. And usually if you're bringing robots into a factory, they can do one thing, and that's take something and move it over there. And it's usually the same type of item. It's the same form factor. The robot's built for that one purpose. And if you had to change a part or change the flow of what you wanted to do, you needed to either build an entirely new robot or build all new programming around your existing robotic machines in order to re-automate that. And so some things that have changed that have made today really interesting, and especially an opportunity for Avatar, is that robots are cheap. You can buy robot arms and automated robot moving platforms for relatively low cost. There are a lot of people around America who have a Roomba in their homes, right? And that itself is a robot. That didn't exist, 20 years ago in mass. And so you see that this world where technology has gotten more affordable than ever, where labor has gotten harder to come by than ever, would rather drive Uber than work overnight in a warehouse or in a factory. But the demand is so high because everybody wants their overnight shipping and everyone wants their items and their food and everything to be cheap and affordable. But that actually requires people to be there to get them the items that they need. And so how do you bridge that gap? I would say that the final component that makes things make sense are that while AI has made advancements in being able to learn the world around us, we're still far from AI being able to manipulate all the different items that we have to manipulate today. However, we've built over the last 5+ years, especially due to COVID, this massive, massive remote workforce of people who can essentially connect to any device from anywhere in the world and interact with you, whether that's on video call or whether that is directly controlling a robot. And so to me, with Avatar, that's now come about today is that, we can obtain cheap robotic hardware. We can connect people from all around the world, like in India or Colombia, to control these robots and actually solve the labor problem and work in the factories and warehouses across the US today. We're struggling to get people to work.
So Shield is a neobank. We work with export businesses and provide them with a faster banking and payments experience compared to what traditional banks can give them. So the company Shield started 3 years ago, but we originally started off as a blockchain security company. And we spent a lot of time building security solutions, trying to figure out, what was the biggest opportunity that we could find within the security landscape. After a while, I'd say like 1.5 years or so, we decided that there was a much bigger and more exciting opportunity within the payments and the banking space, and specifically for businesses that were very averse to engaging with crypto. We've spent a lot of time in the crypto space. We don't see ourselves as the typical degens who are just head down in crypto and can't really see what's going on outside. We find ourselves playing in that middle, let's call it Web 2.5, where we saw ourselves as a bridge between this new form of technology that can unlock a lot of really exciting value for people and for businesses, and then those businesses that are, very averse and don't quite understand the technology. We can kind of be that intermediary that brings those two things together.
We like to think about it as the Shopify for AI-generated courses. So we take video content and using generative AI, we convert the video into a structured course, questions, summaries, an AI tutor you can converse with, give it context from various parts of video or the course, and get a top-notch tutoring experience. When we were in college, we would have liked to use this. I think the best educational tool ever is YouTube. So much content on there with creators who know how to educate in an engaging way. YouTube's amazing. So you go to YouTube and then you sort of still need practice problems. You still need auxiliary work to be done besides just the video. So anyone, in college, we started marketing to a college class specifically. We took a college lecture videos and converted that into Miyagi courses using AI. So that was our original ICP. College student, anybody studying for a test, an exam, whether it be a professional exam with, you can find a YouTube playlist on a nursing exam, for example, and you convert that playlist into a structured course that you could do on the train to work or in any format and have an AI tutor all be embedded and integrated into one platform. So you don't have to go from the video, go online to these random websites and then create a course or a plan yourself. It can be in one, have AI do it for you. But then there's enterprises who reached out to us when we launched saying, we have a bunch of internal training videos for our company that we want to convert into courses to train our employees. And we can save money by, one, not having to script these training programs or courses ourselves. We can have AI generated and then we can edit from there and makes the timeline much quicker. Or they want to automate the training programs. Like they have a human teacher teaching it and they can make it asynchronous with Miyagi and track user engagement. Are they actually understanding the content? We use AI to see if you're understanding it and not just like clicking through a PowerPoint and acknowledging. You can think of all the compliance courses or whatever you had to do and it's not interactive at all.
We're building property management infrastructure and technology for property managers in emerging markets. I got started building Rika because of my background in real estate investing, but also have a passion for Africa and emerging markets. I had worked in the real estate investing space at a large private equity firm in the US called KKR, where I was personally on deals that closed about $1.5 billion. So I saw what was needed from a technology and reporting and data perspective to be able to unlock access to investment and financing. And so when I was speaking with Marianne in Nairobi, I was impressed by the business she built, but knew that she was going to hit the ceiling to expanding her business without having, the right type of reporting and data on her own portfolio to be able to grow. So that's really where Rika started.
Yeah, so Catch It is a smart merchant wallet for Gen Z business owners that allows them to accept every form of payment and document their income properly, which will automate their bookkeeping and taxes. You come up to these booths at a pop-up event, call it a streetwear market, call it a farmer's market, the hot dog cart outside the stadium or whatever, and they have these little printouts with 5 or 6 different QR codes on how to get paid. And it's always a conversation of like, oh, would you take this? Oh, I take that. Oh, here's my Cash App tag. Oh, here's that. And it's wasting time while there's a long line behind you trying to figure out if you can even accept this person as a customer. So what Catch It does for them is just eliminate that conversation. You don't need to ask, can you pay me with this anymore? And what that does on the back, the long-term value is having all this data in the same place with the proper context. Taxes become a breeze because you don't need to get and reconcile different accounts or use multiple documents. But 2, you really have a real bearing on your performance, your customer relationships, what products are more successful than others. You have like actual databases to be able to optimize off of. You can take that and actually go into the bank and be like, hey, here's how much legitimate income I made. Can you give me a loan? Can you give me a line of credit? Really, we're talking about entrepreneurs getting access to capital markets, because if you try to take a Cash App receipt into the bank, they're going to laugh you out of it.
Glow, it's a super food forward, clean skincare and wellness brand. We're building out now into a 360 beauty brand. So across skincare, body care, hair care. We're primarily known for our cleansing bar. So it's a lemon, turmeric, and kojic acid brightening bar. It's the #1 brightening bar on TikTok. We see TikTok Shop had launched as this new platform in the US. And we'd seen this occur 2 times already. I'd say in early 2000s with Facebook, and then again 2010s in Instagram, where we had this new platform where you have tons of attention, and it changes the way that e-commerce businesses can reach customers, reach community, build community around a product. And so we felt that new thing was happening with TikTok. Within the first 2 weeks, it went viral. Then it repeatedly went viral. Within our first 3 months, we did $1 million in revenue. In our 5th month of business, we did our first $1 million month, which blew our minds because we were just experimenting with something, and then to see the rapid growth really solidified that, oh, this is actually something bigger, and we really want to focus our attention here and really dive in. We started Honeyglow actually with $1,000 and out of our kitchen on the ground floor, bed-stuys. So we had never had TikTok before. Honeyglow was the first time I didn't have a TikTok account.
And Touchpoint, we are building an end-to-end solution for legal operations in enterprise and mid-sized companies that have sophisticated legal teams that are growing but struggling to manage their operations. So what that looks like in practice, a lot of lawyers in these big corporations are managing everything from their email inbox. They're receiving communications and information from every direction, from the clients internal to the business that they're working with, from outside counsel, the law firms that they're routinely hiring outside the business, and from other people in their legal team. And all this information is really living in their email inbox, but also spread out across a variety of different systems and software. And what we're doing at Touchpoint is making your inbox a realm of opportunity, making it possible for you to, with the click of a button, create a workspace for each of the matters that are coming in through your inbox, so that it automatically, through the power of AI, organizes information and connects not only that information for yourself, but for all the relevant stakeholders who should be working on that matter. So that's a bit of where we started in terms of developing a journey for legal teams that's a bit more operationalized in the way that they manage matters. But that we realize is only part of the equation, because another big part of the equation is how we change the narrative around legal. Right now, in-house legal teams struggle very much with being considered the cost center within their businesses, where you always know you need the lawyer and you need to pay the lawyer, but it's very difficult to quantify what their actual impact is on business. So what we're helping to do is kind of redefine the narrative or turn it on its head of what it means to have legal in your organizations. So we're developing a Spotify wrapped sort of experience for legal teams that is used to capture all the legal work that they're working on throughout the course of these engagements and across their entire portfolio of work, across different geographies, different teams. We're taking all this data and using it to paint a very intuitive picture of what work is happening in your legal organization, what impact is happening, and putting it in terms that the business is very easily able to understand. And so when I say it's Spotify Wrapped, but for legal, I truly mean it looks exactly like Spotify Wrapped and just as quirky and fun. But, that's exactly what people are looking for in terms of reportability for often like legalese, difficult information to digest. We're kind of flipping that on its head, to say the least.
We do computer vision for animal monitoring. We're starting off with horse tracking. We set up cameras in barns and track animal behavior. There's a abdominal pain called colic. It can kill a horse in 4 hours. So our whole mantra is how can we detect signs of abnormal behavior, alert a vet or a doctor or even the barn owner as quickly as possible to prevent the horse. When you talk about your racehorses, so that's your Kentucky Derby, your Saratoga Derby, things like that, these are millions of dollars, sometimes even in the tens of millions of dollars for a single horse. Then when you go to your other competition horses, you have dressage, you have polo, you have hunter jumper, things like that, you're seeing a $500,000 horse, $2 million horse. And even in your recreational horses can be $100K, $200K. So these are not $1,000 animals. These are hundreds of thousands in multiple cases. Very expensive. And we were interviewing barn owner after owner, doctors, vets, and we just saw a consistent trend. Like is the number one killer of horses, affects over 900,000 horses in the United States every single year. When you lose a horse, not only did you lose your $500,000, your $1 million horse, it's also detrimental to the entire farm. All those years of training, specialization is gone. And there's a global shortage of horse vets right now. A lot of people going to school are becoming doctors for cats and dogs and not your large animals like horses. Shortage of doctors, same level of illness, ample opportunity for new technology.
Volta, it's a digital front door for health and wellness on colleges for students, but then for administrators and other stakeholders and operating system to manage everything going on and have a big high level picture, as well as being able to automate and make things a lot more efficient. For students, we're mainly dealing with care navigation, helping them figure out the healthcare system, right? You're 17 years old and you just left home and now you have to figure it all out by yourself, and that's tough, right? But then for the administrators, they've got thousands of young adults that there's a lot of compliance things that are needed, right? So whether it's immunizations or insurance, and a lot of that was being done manually until we came along, automated a lot of things there. We were able to turn that 6-week process into 6 seconds.
Agate Health is an AI healthcare company focused on chronic disease management. We're currently building the first AI layer for EHR's electronic health records, the thing that covers all patient data, and we're building that focus specifically and entirely on chronic disease. EHRs are very behind. They're stuck in the ancient dark ages. They are currently on really poor interfaces. Some providers that we've been taught to use paper and pencil to track. Right now, 97% of EHR data is underutilized or duplicative. And what that means is really it's not being used to its full potential. Percent of the world's data is health data, and it's rapidly growing, specifically in the chronic disease space, because there's like times more chronic disease data points to track just because of the nature of what a chronic condition is. Like heart disease is a $500 billion market. It's one of the greatest spend areas in chronic disease, and heart disease or conditions that have to do with the heart and vascular system is definitely an important place to start. My time being a Team USA athlete competing in the sport of karate martial arts and being a founder are almost on the same wavelength. Of the parallels are kind of uncanny in the day-to-day.
Cherto is an online platform geared for independent music artists to provide curated access to creative professionals. So think your producers, your audio engineers, your videographers, your photographers, anybody in the music landscape that is necessary for success that an artist needs to grow their brand, grow their music, elevate their sound, and to carve out a space in the highly fragmented music landscape. I'm a collaborator at heart. I love sitting at the intersection of people with different talents and bringing them together. Bigger artists have managers, but a lot of independent artists, maybe their friend is their manager or they're their own manager, So looking to drop your debut EP, looking to drop your first music video, whatever. Tell us what your goal is, and then we'll help you determine the steps and the tasks you need along the way to bring that to life. I need a beat for the songs. I need a producer. I need someone to mix and master the songs I've recorded over the beat. I need a videographer to shoot the video to promo the EP. So within these different tasks, you'll indicate like what skill you're looking for, whether it's production, and we've got an algorithm that runs that'll suggest to you, you have to do any searching, suggest to you, like these are top 3 dope producers that we have on Cherto that you should reach out to. So we'll show you their profile, which lists their past experience, so their work, and then you can go ahead and message them to get a vibe for like their working style. And so all of the payment aspect, the messaging, the review and acceptance of the final product is all in the platform. And so it's really like a centralized, not just workflow management, but enabling artists to manage each step of their creative process in a coordinated, consolidated way. And on the creative side, it's your digital CV. So you've got your profile, you've got your experience, you've got embedded YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, those APIs to showcase, on the platform. And then we've got this hire me functionality. So Cherto profile is a public URL. You can be shared out, text it out to any artists that you want to work with or have worked with in the past. Be like, hey, this is my work. You want to work with me? Click this hire me button right here. And then it'll start a project on Cherto.
Season 3 of The Value of One, The Power of All, a podcast created by the Ron Brown Scholar Program and sponsored by Spira Capital, will be coming out soon. So don't forget to click subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you can be among the first to listen when it releases. If you want to learn more about the organization, check us out at ronbrown.org.